Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the DXF Special Gear 4 Luffy. Now, for a tiny bit of context, I am reading One Piece currently, but as you may or may not know, on this channel I've got a series called One Piece a Day where I challenged myself to catch up to One Piece by reading one chapter a day until I reach where the manga is, and then hopefully read it week to week from then on. Anyway, this challenge requires me to read one chapter a day, obviously, and I am nowhere near Gear 4. Actually, as of recording this video, I'm not even in the time skip yet. I am approaching it, but I'm not in the time skip yet. So, while I know roughly what Gear 4 is, I don't really know what Gear 4 is. So it's a little bit weird reviewing this figure, but I think it's worth reviewing just because it's cool, and I like to preemptively collect One Piece stuff just so I'm not left in the lurch with pre-owned stuff like I have been trying to catch up with a lot of the other figures that I missed out over the last 26 years of the franchise. I am a little bit jaded. Anyway, I bought this sort of preemptively as a thing of I would like a Gear 4 figure, and this seemed like a good Gear 4 figure, especially with the DXF special line focusing on a similar sort of thing that the Figuarts Zero figures do, which is a focus on action and effect. So that's what this is. This is Gear 4 Luffy doing what I believe is called King Kong Gun or something like that. Anyway, it's Gear 4 Luffy mid-attack. So, taking the figure out of the box, you can see it has a pretty imposing and interesting style, because this isn't a standard action pose or where like a character's attacking. This is mid-attack, and due to the nature of the ability, which I assume is something that he can actually do, it's got unique stylization, unique shaping. He's got 6 fists coming out of 3 on either side of him, and the whole figure is tilted at this very specific angle, and it's just interesting and strange, but I think makes for an altogether more unique figure. So here's Gear 4 Luffy. I don't want to talk too much about him to sound like I don't know what's going on, but to my understanding the color of the fists relates to Haki, but I haven't really been fully introduced to Haki in the manga yet, so I don't want to say anything that isn't correct. But he's got these 6 sort of pulled back fists that look ready to spring out, which I assume is how the King Kong Gun works. He's in his Gear 4 state, so his legs are tiny and his chest is puffed up. He's got this cool sort of smoky raiment sort of flowing ribbon around his body. It lends to this cool Japanese aesthetic. He's also got sort of a trail of smoke and effect out of where he's sort of like springboarding off of the ground, and I think that's cool. It was clever to integrate that as part of the base, especially since, to my understanding, there aren't a lot of like Gear 4 situations where Luffy is actually like static on the ground. I think he's always bouncing, so it's clever having an airborne figure. And all around the figure there are cool little parts of effect, stylization, and flow of both the outfit and effect to make this look like a moment frozen in time where he is about to strike. And as you can see, they have captured a lot of the essential details, like the scar on his chest, all of the beautiful line work on his face, the actual very, very hard to capture high gloss texture of his fists, and even nice, simple things that aren't always present on prize figures. At least from my knowledge, they're not always present on prize figures. The little scars on the Straw Hat, it's such a small detail, but it isn't super necessary to have, especially in a prize figure. It's something you more expect for scale figures as a touch of continuity. All of the little detail work is done nicely. I like the sort of body paint aesthetic of Gear 4. It's like this sort of flaming effect, and it's really noticeable on his back. All of his muscular detail is done very, very nicely. The multiple finishes on the figure are good. I didn't really notice any paint errors. The only real issue I had with this figure was the general assembly of it, because it does come as several separate pieces. There's no real instructions that I could find, and everything fits together sort of in order but sort of awkwardly. Some pieces I had to force, and he doesn't really sort of fit flush to the ground. He's just sort of shaking there. It might not show on camera, but he's not exactly flat to the ground. But it is still a cool piece, and I do like that it's a very unique and dynamic angle, casts a very unique silhouette. Not a huge figure, honestly. It's not that much bigger than the box that it comes in, but I think that sort of works to the figure's benefit, if I'm being honest, because you can only have so much going on with such a big figure. So it's nice that it's not particularly huge, so it can actually fit on a shelf. But yeah, I don't think that there's all that much for me to talk about realistically, just because I'm not as familiar with the form, just beyond the figure being really, really well made, really unique stylistically, and another pretty solid entry into the DXF special line. I am interested to see where this line goes. I am not interested in collecting the full lineup, because so far I believe it's Whitebeard, Luffy, Zoro, and Mihawk. I'm not sure if anyone else has been announced at this stage, but I didn't really care much for the Zoro or the Mihawk. It seemed kind of cool, but also seemed like a specific moment that I'm not too familiar with. And Mihawk, generally, I didn't like his design without his hat or coat. I think he looks way better with that, and it lends to his look being way better. But that's pretty much it. This is another solid entry in that lineup. Pretty good for a prize figure, and I can understand why it is a higher price point than usual for standard release, because it does do more than what a standard prize figure would do, but standard prize figures are sort of changing at the moment, so who knows what the standard will be in like another 2 to 3 years. But it is a cool proof of concept, and I am keen to see Gear 4 in the manga when I do finally get up to there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.